The subject today is Sage CRM with opportunities and workflow. So there's a lot to Sage CRM, a web-based customer relationship management solution that holds companies, people, addresses, communications. But the key thing that we're going to drill in today is the opportunity structure. So we're going to start opportunities understanding that opportunities in their nature are designed as a sales presentation. So in this presentation, there will be others to follow as we continue to roll out subject matter that we think is relevant to you, and at the end of this you'll have an opportunity for questions, and also please send us feedback of how we're doing or subjects that you'd like to see. But in this particular one, we're really talking about a sales process. Opportunities in the Sage CRM vernacular are a place for a salesman to manage his communications with a prospect and guide that prospect through the sales process all the way to a close. So when we look at this, opportunities are based on the company, the person that I'm talking with, but really they're based on me, the salesperson. So I came in, I started this out here, we're taking a look at my calendar, and under my CRM, I get to see things like my calendar, my dashboard, my contacts, my leads, my opportunities, as well as things like preferences that I may have or shared documents that I may share with other team members. This idea of opportunity allows us to come in and look at opportunities that I may be working on. Now this is a sandbox version, so this is all test data, play data that we've built out to really show you what's happening. So I've got a whole list of opportunities here. I've got a list of customers that they come from, and I've got them broken down into statuses. And this bar across the top simply helps me organize all of them. If I want to work on people that I've got proposals submitted to, or leads that have come in, or leads that I've already talked to and qualified, I can do that. The other thing that opportunities allow us to do is to get some idea of a weighted forecast. So in an opportunity, there is the ability to put an estimate. Now, salespeople tend to be grandiose in their estimates. That's going to be worth $1 million. But if you're a little more realistic in your estimate, it will take a look at what your average certainties are across all your portfolio and your forecast, and will give you some idea of the type of dollars that you're looking at inside of your pipeline that you're working with. And this is helpful to sales guys. You know, some sales guys want, you know, a $50,000 pipeline, and some guys want a $50 million pipeline. It really depends upon the size of your organization, what your organization sells, and how many prospects someone is managing at any one time. But let's take a look at these. So if I wanted to create a new opportunity, I have a button over here that says New Opportunity, and I can go ahead and create a new one, and it brings up a blank screen for me to begin to enter data on. Now, opportunities mean that I at least know who a company is. I know who I'm making the opportunity to. I may have gotten it from my supplier in an email, please call Joe over at XYZ company, or it may be a customer that I've been working with for some time, and now they want to add something, or they want to increase something that we sell. So I'm going to come through here, and I'm going to find the company. Now, the only reason I have to find the company is because I've started from my opportunities. So if I go look for a frontline entity, I've got a couple of them out here that I'm going to use for presentation. I can come through here and do some testing with this and drop this down. Now, the reason I had to do a find here is because I'm not sitting in the context of this company. So let's go take a look at that. If I came out here and instead of starting from my CRM, I started from the context of a company like this, found that same Frontline Systems internal, now I'm looking at a company summary page, and when I go to the opportunities of that company, I have subset the opportunities that I'm working on just for that company, not all the opportunities in my pipeline. And I'll see that I already have a test one here, so I won't make a new one. We'll simply work with the one that's here. And when I open this, I come into the top area. Now I've got no person selected here. I've got no project selected. These details are completely adjustable for your particular purposes. And then the status bar is controlled by workflow. And we're going to go look at workflow in just a minute. Couple things that I want to show you about an opportunity. An opportunity is a manila folder inside the CRM system for you to stick notes into. So if I have a communication on this opportunity, I'm sitting in the context of the opportunity, and we know we're in the context of the opportunity because it's at the top of the list here. So we are in the context of opportunity, the test opportunity, for the company called Frontline Systems Internal. So it tells me all that right at the top. And if I go do communications here and log a call or a document or a proposal, these are then available at the Frontline Systems Internal with all the other communications that I have for that customer. But when I'm in the context of the opportunity, just like sticking notes in a manila folder, I have only the notes or communications that are specific to this particular opportunity and not all the notes that I'm working with. We may have, if this was a big company and we were a big organization, we might have 5 salespeople working on 5 different projects. There might be 150 communications just in the last week across all those people, and you can get lost in the details. So by using the opportunity and by hanging the communications on the opportunity, you are now able to subset that data, bring it down to a manageable size so that you can begin to work with it. Okay, and you can hang other things on here. We have a notes section. If you wanted to add notes to an opportunity, you can simply hit a new note here. Notes are different than communications. They don't have date and time stamps on them. They're just notes. So if you had a block of text that you wanted to drop in there, I'm just going to grab this invitation for our meeting today and just throw that in there so that you can simply see that if I push a note in there, all I get is the basic note, and I can see it, but there's not, it's not much to it. Whereas a communication gives me the ability to create a start and stop, a due date. I can make it a task or an appointment. It shows up on my calendar. If I create an appointment to call someone at 10 o'clock on a Friday, it will show up on my calendar as a call, and I can alert myself 30 minutes in advance. That's the advantage that communications bring, but they are still all in the context of the opportunity called test in this case. One other thing that I want to show you, and I'm just going to pop out of here and log in as an administrator to show this to you. So as I simply change users in the system, go back to the My CRM Opportunities section, you'll see this one called Test for Frontline Systems again. And when we pop this open, something that I've got set up here for this user is the ability to do quotes and orders. Now, if you are connected to Sage 300 ERP with your CRM system, this is an option to you. In the current versions, we can come in here and we can create a quote by using ERP data. So if I come in here and say I want to do a new quote, I can open this up, It's going to take just a second because I'm on a test server and everything's on the same server. It's just a wee bit slow. But I have everything here. I can put a description, a date. It brought through my main information. I can identify account sets if that's important to me. I can come through here and do ship to addresses. I can create new ship to addresses. So I don't have any here, but I could create a new one if I wanted to. I can create ship vias here. And now I can come through and identify a salesperson for this particular project. I can also come through and scroll down a little bit and begin to put in items. If you see down here on the bottom of this screen, I can come through here and do an item or miscellaneous. I can grab an item right out of my inventory control list. I'm going to just hold this up a bit. Come on. All right, so if I get my bars to come up, I can slide this up a little bit so I can pull my inventory right out of my inventory list inside of my Sage 300 ERP system. I get the description out of accounting. I get the location out of accounting. I can identify the quantity that I want to quote. I get the pricing off the price list. I can modify that pricing, or I can extend a discount. All of this I can do, add comments, add instructions, and if I had optional fields on my order entry system, they would also appear here. I can put comments, I can put total discounts, and if I come through here and say that I want to save this, it will say I haven't quite finished everything. Account set can't be blank, sales split can't be blank, and you must enter a sales split. And that's just some oversights on my part because it's demo data. I have to put in a sales split here. This would normally be defaulted in your system, and you wouldn't have to do that. See if I got everything, if it's happy. Okay, so what it's doing right now is it's communicating with the accounting system, and you'll see that it's issued me QT0018. Now, the interesting thing here is that if I go ahead and just minimize this a little bit, I have my accounting system running right here behind me. And if I go into order entry, orders, and I go to QT0018, I get the item, CRM customer, item number. I get the information that I just processed in the CRM system in real time in the order entry system. So just one of the things that depending upon how your operation runs, what's important to you, how your salespeople work, one of the things they've added in the most current versions of CRM that you can begin to do this. Now, you do have to be at least on 7.1, but 7.2 is much more stable, and you have to be at least on 2012, but again, the 2014, the most current platforms are the preferred to do this with. But it very, very nicely lays out and allows you to manage it. Now, you could make edits to this. You can print it, and really what it's doing is printing it to a PDF so that you can email it, but you can also print to an air printer. There's some other options in there that you can do. But more importantly, you can simply manage the opportunity here with this additional information. So if we now go back to the summary of the opportunity, we can continue to move through this. Okay, so we've talked about the opportunity being a holder, a placeholder for a sales event. We've talked about the opportunity being a place where we can subset data. Now we've talked about the opportunity as being a place where we can put a quote in our accounting system, but link it and manage it with the opportunity with any other supporting documents or communications that need to come in there. So now we want to kind of move on and say, all right, I have created this opportunity. I have made some communications. I've done whatever needs assessments that we do. And so there's some statuses that I may want to update this on so that when I come back to that My CRM and get that bar graph at the top, that it's accurate, that it's right. Because like anything, we only get back the data that we put in. So over on the right-hand side over here, we have some availabilities: qualify, proposal submitted, and reassign. And this is part of workflow. So if I go through and say that this is qualified, it brings up an area. I can reassign it to somebody else. It changes the status automatically to qualified. It's still in progress, and I can make notes here if I want to. Talk to them. They are interested. Now, I will tell you, I don't normally use the tracking notes because I have this type of information in communications. But certainly you can, and when you hit the save then, it simply changes the status, maybe changes the certainty. You can program that or leave it. But if I go to tracking up here, I can track what happened to this opportunity. So you can see here that it was created, that we had a proposal submitted, and we've updated it to qualified. Those are the events that have happened on this opportunity at this point in time. So again, we may continue on with our sales cycle. We may have some additional data here. We may have a marketing campaign, not something that we're going to talk about today, but if we did, we could come in and attach this to the campaign. We can come in and edit some of the data. Notice it has a forecast of $499 because we wrote a quote against it, so it's updated that in the forecasting values. And we've got a close by, priorities, teams. All of these can be adjusted as we learn more information about the opportunity. But as we move to each step, we can come through and update its current state or its current status. Now, the last one we did was called qualify, and now that it's qualified, I can negotiate, I can reassign, I can do a demo, I can submit a proposal. And each time I pick an option here, it's going to give me a different set of choices, and that's called workflow. So if we take a minute and pop over to workflow, we can actually look at the workflow that's for this opportunity. Now, the workflow that we're looking at is standard. It comes with the system. And there are a variety of them. You have cases and communications and leads and campaigns and waves. But we're going to look at the one for opportunities. So this is a workflow. It's a ladder-based logic scheme. And you come up with a set of rules that you can create and a set of states where those rules are created. So you come from the start, and if you remember, we hit a button called New Opportunity. That started the process. And then I drop down to Qualify, Proposal Submitted, or Reassign. Now, Reassign is up here. And reassign's got this little circle on it. And what that means, it's a global rule. So that means the reassign rule is always going to be present in the menu structure. But as I come down through each of these options, I change the ladder. So when I went to qualified, I got negotiating, proposal submitted, or demo, which are the three that we looked at, along with reassign. And based on what I picked, it would jump to this appropriate one. So if I pick negotiating, it would go to the negotiating branch and say proposal submitted or sold. If I picked a demo, it would jump all the way down here to the demo branch, which would then give me the option of negotiating, proposal submitted, or sold. So I can change each of these based on where I go. If I go back to proposal submitted, it goes back to quoting which means I jump up here to the top where the quote ladder starts. If I go through to quote and hit sold, it then jumps to the sold section. Wherever I hit sold at, it jumps to sold right here where it has a ladder below it, and I can close this, or I go to a presentation demo. So I build these, as I say, by simply putting in states and rules. So let's go look at a state. So if I have a state called qualified, first thing I have to do is put this in edit mode. So if I have a state called qualified and I take a look at that, there's not much here. It could be an entry state, which only start is, but really it's just a name placeholder that brings up the name of the menu. The real key is not the state of qualified, but the rule that it is through here. So if we look at qualified and come down here and hang it someplace, you know, we can drag and drop these, but if we come through here and say qualified, now we get some rules. So the rule name is qualified. It's a transitional rule versus a conditional rule, a global rule, a primary rule, or an escalation rule. So a transition rule simply means we're moving from a status of A to a status of B. We're transitioning to a different position in the process. So I have brought over here opportunities or columns that I want to display for amendment, or I want to set the values automatically. So notice in the stage here, I came through and I said set the column value. The column is opportunity stage. I want to force the value to opportunity. It's read only. I can't change it. So I could then add a bunch of other scripting, and it's extremely powerful. What we're looking at here is very, very basic. And we move on to a different one, an opportunity status. We can append it, but now we are allowing it to be amended, so we're allowing it to be opened up and added. But as an example, if I wanted to open or add a new setting, I could come down here and say I want to add a new setting, and I could say I want to set a case value, and let's back up there and let's just look at this for a second. I could say that I'm setting a new one, and this is what I have available. I can set a column value. I can reset a column value. I can display something so that you can do an entry, or I can pop a message on the screen. I can also show notifications on the screen. I can send an email, or I can send an SMS message to somebody that has moved to this state. Follow-up actions, I can create tasks from within here. Opportunities, cases, leads, solutions. I can create merge documents. I can execute a SQL statement. So if I need the database to reflect something, I can execute a SQL statement. I can even have stored procedures in the database and execute a stored procedure from within the workflow. So we see that it's very, very powerful, and I can continue on and create outbound call lists, export groups, etc. We're just going to set a column value. So now that I've set a column value, I can come through and identify which value that I want to do. So now that I've come through and grabbed something, I can set that value. And it knows if it's a text value or a drop-down list value based on the type that it's here. So if I grab type again, it would change and give me one of the values that are in here as an option to set it to, because I'm telling it that I'm force setting the option. Now we're not going to bother to save this. I did this just to show it to you. But if we come back to here and make this active again so that we can work with it, we'll go back to the opportunity and give you an idea of how this workflow functions. So as we said, we're through the qualifications. I can now say that I submitted a proposal, and it comes up here, and it allows me to reassign. It assumes that I now have a 25% certainty of closing this sale. It still has the forecast of $499 because it's taking that from the quoting activity, and I can write a tracking note if I want. And as I said, I rarely write tracking notes. But now notice that we've moved on to the next stage. We say that we've sold, we've reassigned, we're negotiating, or we're doing a demo. So let's say we're doing a demo. Now, if you recall, I get the same thing, and nothing's changed. It's still 25% certainty. I haven't reset the value there. But notice that I get a new set again. I'm now negotiating proposal submitted or sold in here. So if I resubmit a proposal, I still get the same 25%, and I come back up here, and now I've got my demo option in place again. If I go to negotiating, I come up, and now it's a 50% certainty because they're talking to me. We're negotiating. They haven't rejected my proposal. So now I get back to resubmitting a proposal based on negotiations or sold. And when I get to sold, it then changes the status. I can do tracking notes. It says sales agreed. It changes the status from in progress to 1 and the certainty to 100%. And I go ahead and I save that. Well, now this is, for all practical purposes, this is completed. Now, the last step, because sold only means we have an agreement, so now we've executed the contracts, we've delivered the product, we've gotten paid, and as a sales guy, we're done. I can come in and close this, sale closed, we're done, and now it's got a status of closed. And when I go look at it in my opportunities list here, it will drop off the list. Why? Because I'm only looking at things that are in progress. This is done. So it dropped off the list for me. So again, back to the original. Opportunities are for the salesperson to track and manage the relationship, the communication, the documentation that is happening to a customer / prospect / lead, so that he or she does not get overwhelmed with little slips of paper and little yellow Post-it notes all over their monitor, that the information is brought together in a single place. So the last point that I want to show here, and then we're going to open it up and have some questions, but the last place that I want to take you to is Team CRM. Now, the Team CRM allows you to bring together multiple people, and we're going to go out to a month view, multiple people, and bring together all the activities of their calendar, all of their opportunities, and I don't have the bar turned on for the administrative user, but you would have the bar of their statuses. These are all leads right now, so that would do you a lot of good. But you can look at all of these together based on the team. So if I come in and select it for all teams, now I can see everything that's out there. So this is a way for a sales manager, as an example, to build teams, maybe by product grouping, and look at individual teams across multiple salespeople, or look at all the opportunities that's out. And if you've got that bar in place that we were looking at before, it would have a big bar chart and tell you how you split between leads and qualifieds and negotiating and all the different settings that we had in the workflow. So by teaming opportunities, which your salesperson is going to manage, with workflow, you can guide the salesperson through the sales process. And we know that salespeople don't like to be mired in what they sometimes call administrative crap. We can get them to update things like their certainties. You know, are you 25% certain or 50% certain? Without being overly optimistic, by simply hanging them on the stage of where they are in the process. So as they come up through qualified, as they come up through writing a quote or submitting a proposal through the demonstration process, we can increase those possibilities of a close, and by adjusting the close dates, we can get some realistic pipeline forecasting in a weighted measure. How many dollars of sales are they likely to close this month? And by saying that you have a 50% certainty on a $500 item that has a close date at the end of the month, we know in a weighted average that you have a $250 pipeline for this month. Now, obviously, nobody's going to eat off that kind of pipeline, so we want it to build, we want it to grow, and we want the salespeople to see that pipeline so that they can work to build that pipeline up. But we know that they may not update their information effectively, and the pipeline doesn't work if we don't update that information effectively. That's where we can really utilize even a basic workflow, and then we can advance it from there. We've done workflows where you get to a certain point in an opportunity, and it splits the opportunity in half. And you take, the existing opportunity takes one range, and the other one takes the other opportunity, or it creates a case. Because we've gotten to a point in the opportunity where I now need to engage a technician. And technicians don't work in opportunities, they work in cases. So I may create a case to tell the engineer what I need them to do as part of the sales quoting process. All of those things can be done in the workflow process to enhance opportunities, and opportunities themselves can be enhanced and expanded, even to the point of bringing in or tying in outside systems. We did a system for a company that does ad information. So from the opportunity, you then jump in and you create ad data. What issue is it going in? How many inches of ad data? Does it have color? Are we repeating it? All of that information is an extender off of the opportunity. The opportunity is the front page, but the extender is really the meat and potatoes of their business, and we were able to extend to do that. So there's a lot of flexibility here. But just out of the box, which is all we've been looking at today, with the ability to create the workflow, and we could have multiple workflows here. So we could have a new opportunity for product line 1, a new opportunity for product line 2, and a new opportunity for product line 3, all with little buttons here, each one being a different workflow. Because if I come back to this workflow, here's where it says new opportunities, part of that start process, and this is an entry into the system. Okay, so I could have another opportunity workflow called new opportunity machining, and when you are over in your opportunity creating that new opportunity, you can create and jump into the appropriate workflow for the type of product that you're doing. So that's kind of a summary. In the 35 to 40 minutes that we had available here today, that's a summary of the opportunities in Sage CRM, a completely web-based solution. Runs on an IIS server, can be run in the cloud, can be integrated to your Sage 300 ERP, but the opportunities that you saw are completely functional with or without ERP integration. So if you have other interests in that, certainly reach out to your sales account manager, or simply send us an email or give us a call, and we will get someone to talk to you about how Sage CRM, how opportunities management and the other features can work with your company and your systems to enhance the opportunities to manage the sales process for your organization.